want to get your reaction to what happened today. You publicly condemned the violence. What was it like being there when that started happening today?
Well, it was a sad day for our country. These are anarchists and rioters that came into, that burst into the Capitol. And I can tell you, I'm very thankful for the men and women who protect the Capitol and protect us every day. They stood at their posts. They safely got us out of the Senate chamber and got us to a safer place. But a big debt of gratitude to the men and women who serve in law enforcement who protect us today. But it was a sad day, and it was frightening for many. But I'm just grateful for the response of the Capitol Police and Secret Service.
Okay, and then at what point did you decide that you would no longer oppose the certification of the electoral vote, and why?
Well, from the beginning, as we started this process, I wanted to make sure that the voice of so many Americans, millions of Americans who don't trust the outcome of this election, who've seen fraud and irregularities, that their voice was heard. That we needed to have a commission that would fully investigate this and make sure that we could restore the trust of the American people in the electoral process. The really important point of what we were trying to accomplish here today. And so what I did is I objected to Arizona, which gives us a chance then to have our voices heard on the floor of the U.S. Senate. We got our point across, but my objective here was not to overturn an election. That is the role of the states, not the United States Congress, as it is laid out in our Constitution. So it was important that the American people saw that we are fighting to ensure that we have integrity in our elections, and we really get that message out today.
And then back to the original decision, which you were going to oppose, and I know that Katie had sent something out, maybe we had the phrasing wrong, but do you have any regrets about that original decision of yours?
No. In fact, no. What we talked about here is from the very beginning, the outcome we wanted to see was to get an electoral commission established that could audit the results from this election and then allow the states to look at the audit result, and the states would decide whether or not they would certify their electors. Our constitutional responsibility in Congress is not to be the decider of whether the electors from each of these states should be counted or not. Our responsibility is to make sure, as long as they are done according to regular manner, that they be counted. And so we wanted to make sure that we were highlighting some of these irregularities and that we need more time to fully investigate what we saw happen in this election. But today, as a United States Senator, I want to do what's right for my country, and that is why we had our objection. We had our arguments made today on the floor of the United States Senate. But now, as we move through this process this evening, this election will be certified. Joe Biden will be elected the President of the United States.
And was there still fraud in your opinion then?
No doubt there's fraud. There is fraud. We're continuing to investigate fraud in states. The question is, do you have overwhelming evidence where the documented fraud that's irrefutable exceeds the difference of Biden's victory in these respective states? And there have been nearly 80 court cases that have been decided against the Trump campaign. But I've been in active contact with President Trump's campaign to get all the evidence and the facts. And to this point, I did not see enough irrefutable facts and data that would suggest there were votes here that would overturn the electors of these states. But what I do believe we need to do, David, is moving forward, it just takes more time to really get to the bottom of some of the things we saw in places like Georgia and Arizona and Pennsylvania. But that is why this commission needs to be formed, so that we can really bring transparency to this process and we can restore trust in the election. Because I can tell you, there are thousands and thousands of Montanans that have lost trust in our elections. We've got to restore that trust, and this commission would be one important way to do that.
And so that would be what would allow us to move forward together as a country, being so divided, but move forward.
This really is not a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or Independent issue. This is something we all need to come together to ensure that only legal ballots are counted, illegal ballots are not counted, and that's something that we want to make sure going forward that we have significantly improved on in elections, because there's just a lot of doubt, particularly in these states where you have very narrow margins. Millions of votes cast, and yet the difference between losing and winning is less than 20,000 votes. That is where we need to continue to look at what's going on in terms of protecting ballots, ensuring that the people who are registered to vote actually are voting. I mean, there's a number of issues here with irregularities and fraud that need to be addressed so that we all have confidence. No matter what political persuasion you have, we have confidence in the outcome of our elections.
Okay, and one last question they had written down here. President Trump continues to maintain that it was a fraudulent election. Are you concerned about what could happen in the next 2 weeks, and how much do you think his actions are hurting our country?
Well, I tell you, I think all sides need to lower the temperature at this moment. We live in the greatest country in the world. Let's stand together and act like it. We have a over 200-year history of peaceful transitions of power. It's something that the rest of the world marvels at, that we can elect the most powerful person in the world, and that transfer of power occurs oftentimes every 4 or 8 years. We've got to uphold that great American standard, and I am confident we'll do so on January 20th.